John Sharp, and today I'm going to show you how to make a terrarium in a 2-liter soda bottle. What you'll need is a bottle, 2 liters. I like to put a rubber band around it about 1/3 of the way up, and you can mark that with a permanent marker or a piece of tape, whatever suits you. We'll need some gravel or coarse sand. This is aquarium gravel from stores that have pet supplies. This is charcoal, also for aquariums. They put it in the filters to clean the water out. This is actually optional, but it's a good idea to have it. It helps keep it fresh on the inside. And then this is potting soil. You need about a cup of this, a 1/4 cup of the charcoal, and a cup of the gravel. Don't use regular soil you get in your yard because it has too many bugs in it and things that you might not necessarily want in your house. So that's what we need. If you are not an adult, you will need help with this first step, which is to cut a little hole in the bottle right on that line, and then you can take scissors and just cut around that line. This part is pretty easy. And nothing has to be exact here or perfect. So we've got 2 pieces now. Let me add that it's good to have the lid. If you don't, you'll have to cover it with plastic or something. Now this top part will make maybe 5 cuts in the side of the bottle, about that long. You'll see why in a minute. And then we're ready to start. I'll take the bottom of the bottle and put my gravel in there, which will permit drainage of the water so it doesn't turn into a swamp. The gravel. And then we just need a thin layer of the charcoal. I'll kind of sprinkle that on there. 1/4 cup. And then take your potting soil. It's going to need about a cup. You just pretty much fill it close to the top of this bottom of this bottle. Now, these things, of course, cost money. But if you know somebody with an aquarium, or if you want to make several of these with your cousins or your friends, you can go to a big store and buy a pound of gravel and a container of charcoal, and you can make several of them. A pound of gravel will make about 6 of these. So in the potting soil, I'm sure you can find someone that has some that can give you a bit. It's only a cup. Now we need plants. We need to find plants that have small leaves, that not necessarily low to the ground, but small growth plants. I got this Peperomia, which is really pretty, at a home improvement store. That they have ground covers, lots of different kinds of low-lying, wet-loving ground covers. So that's Peperomia. Put that there. Maybe I can put a. And some of these you can just break them off and stick them in there, and they'll do. Just stick that in there. I just picked up some moss near a damp spot where the outside hose faucet is. You get moss sometimes. Just stick that in there. There's Peperomia, which sounds like something on a pizza, but it's a house plant. There's several things you can use. And let me tell you, if some of these plants are not happy in here, you can always change them out later, just because they're small. Give it a good soak. If you have a spray bottle, that's great. If not, just sprinkle on it gently. And then the tricky part is getting this top back on top of the bottom part. There, that worked pretty well. Now be sure when you carry this around, don't carry it by the top, because the bottom will fall out and get all over it. So there we go. It'll look better in a few weeks. The reason it has a cap on it is because we're replicating the water cycle in nature. In nature, water evaporates up into the clouds and then it comes down as rain, and that is going to happen inside of here. Look at this one that I made several months ago. I have not taken the lid off it. There's some of that red Phytonia, if you can see it. There's something called a nerve plant. There needs to be condensation in there, this little water on the inside. If there's too much, it's running down and cooling at the bottom, then you need to take the lid off for an hour or so, or a day, and let it dry out. If there's no condensation at all, then you need to add a little liquid. This one I just made a half hour ago, so you're not seeing condensation yet, but I'm sure it will be great. So that is the tutorial. I wanted to say there are lots of YouTube videos on how to do this, but a good one is from the Memorial University of Newfoundland, which I really enjoyed. And I want to say that you can make them any size. You can make them as big as you want. Just increase your ingredients. This one I made months and months ago. These plants are like this fern, for instance, probably would get really big if it was out in the garden, but since it's in this jar, it the growth is kind of stunted. But it's real pretty in there. Don't put it in totally direct sunlight because it might cook, but it needs some light, and just make sure there's condensation in there. And that's all I have. I hope you try it and have fun.